Start the recording.
Yes, sir. Yes. I started. Please start.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so good afternoon to everyone. So today we are going to continue. Uh, so last time we stopped at this rule vibhasha and discuss this issue of Mahavibhasha, and today we will continue with the next rule. So I request Professor Bhate to please start today's session.
Thank you, Mahesh. Hello, friends. Last time we saw the only half the part of the rule, and today the remaining half we'll be reading. That will be giving due justice to Panini if I say half, because as I told you earlier, this is the Yoga Vibhaga proposed by Patanjali, and I also refer to another Vartika which straight away denies this Yoga Vibhaga. Anyhow, so the latter half of the rule is apapari bahirainshava panchamya. And this rule says apapari bahis ainshu ete subantaha panchamyante nasaha vibhasha samasyante. So we have here four words. Actually, if we take anshu as a representative, then more than four. And three of them, they are straightaway indeclarables, whereas anshu is a reference to a root, and this root goes to form different names of directions. It has been referred to as a representative of all those krudantas which again behave as indeclarables. Further, I don't remember if I have mentioned, yes, I have mentioned it on the paper also, that some of them, they are, in addition to being called avyayas, also are called karma pravachaniya by some special rules in Panini. And since they are karma pravachaniya, they govern few specific cases, as we have seen earlier also in case of some other indeclarables. So here we have the first one is upper, and for upper there is a rule in Panini's grammar, apapari varjane, which teaches karma pravachaniya saudhnya to upper when it conveys the meaning varjana, excluding, without, or some such thing. Similarly, we have a rule also for pari, the same rule, apa pari varjane. So apa and pari, they are synonyms. The meaning of bahis is quite well known, outside or external. And ainshu, that is the rule ainsha, with different upasargas like pra, ut, and para. It derives different words which are quite well known to you. Prainch or prak, Parainch or parak, and udainch. I have given a derivation of one of them on the paper, and that will give you an idea of how from the root pra-ainsha with the krut suffix quin and a tadita suffix astati, we finally arrive at the form prak or even pranch. You can say pranch is a pratipadika form. So we will very quickly go through all these rules, and first of all, we'll derive this form branch, and then we'll come back to the examples. So pra-ainsha, ainsha means to move, to go, and pra-ainsha means to go forward, pragatam ainchanam. Then para and uday, ut. They, as you know, they mean different things. So first of all, the krut suffix quin, which is a zero suffix, is added by the rule. Rutvik, dadruk, srag, dig, ushnig, ainchu, yujik, kruinchancha. And then to this krudanta, which again is a pratipadika, a suffix astati is added. It is a tadita suffix, and it is added in the sense of either saptami or panchami or prathama. Dik shabdebhyah saptami panchami prathamabhyo digdesha kaleshu astati. So they refer to either dik or desha or kal. So either direction or a particular region or time. These three meanings conveyed by them. And this suffix is added. Again, I say swarte because swarte is not a Paninian word. It is only for our understanding. But they convey one of these three meanings, one of these three case meanings rather. And then we have pro, ach, 000 means all these suffixes are dropped. Quin is dropped, so is dropped, and even astati is dropped by different rules. Aniditam phala upadhaya ngiti, this nyo is dropped. Then where apruktasya quin is dropped. Ainsher look, actually by Ansher look astati is dropped. And then we have again, even after dropping this nasal, we have one more nasal added, pra anucha, by the rule ugidacham sarvanamasthane adhatoho. So we have pra anucha, so sanyoga at the end, and therefore by the rule sanyoga antasya lopaha, because it is a pada. When we add the suffix, I have not mentioned the case here, but we have to understand the case either saptami, prathama or panchami. That is to be understood. So sanyogantasya lopaha will drop no. Then by quin pratyayasya kuhu, because it is a quin pratyayanta. So quin pratyayante yadvartate tasya kavargaha adeshaha bhavati. So no will be substituted by no. And further by jalan joshote, nga will be further substituted by ga, and by vavasane, ga will be optionally replaced by ka. So this is how we have prag or prag. This much is enough, I think, to understand how Anshu derives this word prag, because he mentions prag in the example. Now let us take up these examples one by one. अपपरिबहिः अंशु इत्येते सुबन्तः पंचम्यन्तेन सह विभाषा समस्यन्ते अव्ययी भावश्च समासो भवति. Now अपत्रिगर्तं वृष्टो देवः. वृष्टो देवः, it rained. It rained excluding Trigarta. So it rained everywhere but not in the region called Trigarta. Trigarta is a name of a country, name of a state, or name of a particular region, whatever you call it. And we also have optionally the sentence apatrigartebhyah. So here we have a complete sentence. Sometimes Kashika gives a complete statement, sometimes it doesn't. But here, for luckily for us, it has given. So apatrigartam vrushto devaha, apatrigartebhyah vrushto devaha. It rained excluding trigartas. Similar is the meaning of the next compound paritrigartam and paritrigartebhyah. In these cases, both these cases, apa and pari, they govern the ablative by the rule pancham vyapang paribhi. The rule I have already displayed on the paper. Panchami apa ang paribhi ityetaihi yoge, apa ang pari ityetaihi yoge panchami vibhakti bhavati, and therefore we have trigartebhyah. Now the next example is with bahi, bahir gramam. Now I don't think I need to explain to you how this gramam or trigartam is arrived at. by using different rules like avyayi bhavascha, avyaya supa, and then avyayi bhavaratum tu panchamyaha. All these rules we have always to remember while deriving all such compounds which end in O. Now, here is a question about the case which we should add to the word which will be connected with bahihi or bahis. He has said bahir grammar, and commentators also discuss this. They say that there is no rule which prescribes any particular case along with bahi or for bahi. As Panini does not prescribe any case ending for bahis, and therefore commentary says that on the basis of samarthya of the mention of bahis with panchami in this sutra, we have to understand that bahis always governs panchami. So it is again samarthya, which is quite often used as a tool of interpretation, and in most of the cases it is a useful tool. It is a logically also correct, acceptable tool. So here bahish shabda yoge panchami bhavasya etadeva jnapakam. Kim jnapakam? बहिः शब्दयोगे पंचमी भवति कथं प्राक् बहिः शब्दस्य अपपरिरञ्जुभिः सह पंचम्या सह निर्देशात्, you can say. Then परित्रिगर्तं बहिर्ग्रामं बहिर्ग्रामात् प्राग्ग्रामं प्राग्ग्रामात्. For prag, how do you know that there is a panchami to be used? There is a rule. Did I mention it? Yes. Anyaradhitararte dik shabdanshutara padajahi yukte. So all these words which are mentioned here, anya aradhitararte dik shabda, anshuttara pada, ach and ahi, these are the suffixes. Yukte panchami vibhakti bhavati. So this is a Paninian rule. So this vibhakti is known as upapada vibhakti, because certain words they govern the case, and therefore it is called upapada. Etesham etaihi padaihi yoge iyam vibhakti bhavati ityarthaha. And thus we have panchami here of the word which is connected with prak. So prak grama, and then he says bahi shabda yoge panchami bhavasya etadeva jnapakam. That we have seen. Even Patanjali discusses this problem of panchami for bahis, and he also refers to panchami grahana samarthya. But when I read Mahabhashya on, particularly on this karakas and particularly on apadana, I found that Patanjali explains quite a few expressions for which Panini has set up separate rules, like Bhitra Thanam Bhyahetu and Janikartu Prakriti. So in all these cases, he says Apadani Ityeva Siddham. So why doesn't or why don't we accept Apadana in this case? I don't understand. So we can say Bahihi as an, or Bahis as an Apadana, because there is some kind of apaya. But well, that would take us to another grammar also. We will form a different grammar then. So let us not do that. We'll now move to the Chandra rule. Paryapang Bahiranshava Panchamya Va. So the obvious thing is that the order has changed. Instead of saying Apapari, he says Paryapang Bahiranshavaha. And one more thing is that he has added Ang in this sutra. Actually, Ang, for Ang, there is a separate rule. which is the very next rule, ang maryada vedhu in Panini's grammar. And Chandra has conveniently saved one sutra, and he treats ang along with these because it is almost the same. The treatment given to the rest of the words is almost the same, and that very includes ang there. And one more change we notice in the phrasing of this sutra is the replacement of va in place of vibhasha. And what I think is, I haven't, as I told you earlier, I haven't read whole of the Chandra Vyakarana, but I think it must have been a very uniform move in Chandra. Vibhasha and Anyatarasyam are probably replaced by va. Someone of you, those who are experts in Chandra, perhaps can throw more light on this. But there is and we do find such change also in other non-Paninian grammars, removing vibhasha, Anyatarasyam, and returning only va in place of va. But this reminds me also of Kiparsky's very famous book, Panini as a Variationist. And I'm sure most of you have already gone through that book because it is again regarded as a big breakthrough. And he tries to give three different interpretations to these three expressions, va, vibhasha, and Anyatarasyam. Those who are interested, they can, for details, go to the book and they can read all these three meanings of all these three words, how he analyzes them. So this is not a proper occasion, but what I think is that his theory of these three option markers conveying three different meanings holds almost 50%. And he also has perhaps stated the same thing, at least in 50% cases, this holds. So finally, we have to decide whether we accept Kiparsky or not. But that is the only way to explain Panini's use of vibhasha, va, and Anyatarasyam as three option markers. The other alternative is to say that since Panini has drawn upon different grammars, and quite often he wants to retain their terminology, it might be that he has retained vibhasha, which appears in a particular grammar, va from another, and Anyatarasyam from yet another. This also is another way to interpret. But let us leave this question to scholars and for further studies. So, how does Chandra deals with this? Paryadaya shabdaha panchamyantena sah ekarthaha va bhavanti. So it is exactly the same, except that one more indeclinable is added, and that is a. परित्रिगर्तं वृष्टो देवः परित्रिगर्तेभ्यो वृष्टो देवः अपत्रिगर्तं वृष्टो देवः अपत्रिगर्तेभ्यो वृष्टो देवः आपाटलिपुत्रं वृष्टो देवः. This is addition because I is added there, and this perhaps we will read when we read the next rule of Panini. Apatalitram vrushto devaha and apataliputrad vrushto devaha. So these are this is just one example he has given. Up to Pataliputra it rained. This is the meaning of this sentence. It will be more clear to us when we read the Paninian rule. Bahirgramam bahirgrama, and then he says va iti adhikaraha. So again, as we have seen earlier, it is the commentary which tells us that va is an adhikara, which perhaps Chandra also wants to continue throughout the section. I'm not sure about it. Again, you have to find it out. No, it cannot be, because Pare Madhya Shashtava in 11 he again uses va. So this adhikara, how long it continues, I have no idea. Has anyone already studied this samasa section from this point of view? Maybe then you can say something about it? Anyone from you? Right now, would anyone like to comment? My question is, he says va is an adhikar here in the rule number 7. And if it is an adhikara, then why does he repeat va in 11? Well, we can take up this question later on also, but now since I see both the rules on the same page.
If I'm to answer this right now, then yes, the two vas serve different purposes. I mean, the first va, of course, makes the rule. The samasa and the vakya optional in this first case, where we have the first va here in this particular rule. Next, when we have it in the pare madhya shashtya va, there is an option between the avyaya bhava and the tatpurusha. So that va serves basically as an option marker between two samasa categories, whereas this first va, the adhikara va, serves as a option marker between vakya and samasa.
Okay. Okay. I think your point will be more clear when we read that rule. Okay.
Just one more addition, Mahesh. The va in our sutra goes up to 48 in Chandra, up to 2248. So this va of our sutra is up to 2248.
From 7, va in 7 continues up
Yes.
to 2. Okay. So that is Mahavibhasha again, the same. It's quite parallel with Panini, isn't it?
Seems so, yes.
Okay. Okay. So what actually Mahesh says about this va in rule number 11 is quite similar to what Paninian commentators say about va when it comes in addition to vibhasha. Okay. That we will deal with when we read that too. The next tool, should I take up the next tool or any other observation anyone would like to make?
I just observed something else here. You were using Chatterjee's edition, actually the original edition by Liebig. At the end, after saying Bahir Gramat, he has also Prak Gramat, and only then Va iti adhikara. So Chatterjee seems to have skipped for some reason Prak Gramat in the Vritti.
Well, obviously it's not in my edition.
Yeah.
In K.C. Chatterjee edition, it is missing then. Perhaps. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Of course, it has to be there because
I think there is some question. Somebody has raised a hand. Who is that? Please go ahead with the question.
This is Nidhi.
Yeah, please.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, ma'am is still going to read the next sutra, Ang Maryada Bhividyoho. I just want to know, because Chandra has included Ang in this sutra itself, has he made the difference between Maryada and Abhividhi, the two meanings which Panini gives?
Yes, I think let's talk about this after Madam
that
finishes
sutra,
the
yes,
next rule. He
Yes,
does.
sure.
He does. Maybe,
Sure.
Dragomir can next time also read. Dragomir, I would request you to also read. We have a parallel section in the Panchika about these examples. I think in the Karaka section as well. I mean, this 2-1 section also. Meanwhile, you can search it, and after Madam finishes Panini's Ang Maryada Bhividyoho, then you can probably read it out.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, I will be taking it up right away, because I think we have done with both Chandra and Panini on this Apapari Bahirincha of and now we have to move to Ang Maryada Bhividyoho. Ang ityetat Maryadayam Abhividau cha Vartamanam Panchamyantena Saha Vibhasha Samastite Avyayi Bhavatya Samasa Bhavati. So the indeclinable Ang is compounded with a Samartha Subanta it denotes or when it denotes Maryada and Abhividhi. Maryada refers to limit or boundary, and Abhividhi denotes inclusion or complete or comprehension. And the difference between these two meanings will be more clear when we read the examples. So he says, A Pataliputram Purushto Devaha, A Pataliputra. This is an example of Maryada, though he doesn't mention Maryadayam. But since he mentions Abhividho in the next example, this must be an example of Maryada. Maryada conveys limit. And therefore, A Pataliputram or A Pataliputrat, in both these expressions, A conveys the limit, that means the limit of the reign is Pataliputra, which further, according to the commentators, means that it stopped before entering Pataliputra. So it did not reign on Pataliputra. It ran up to the, you can say, the boundaries of Pataliputra. How the reign came to know that this is the boundary of Pataliputra, we don't know. So, A Pataliputram excluding Pataliputra. And Abhividhi is inclusion, A Kumaram Yashaf Paninehe, A Kumarebhyaha Yashaf Paninehe. In this case, we have inclusion, and I think this example we have already seen earlier. So, fame of Panini has gone, you can say, beyond the students, or will you, it has spread up to children, or how will you interpret Kumara, either boys or children? So even children in Pataliputra, where Panini was studying, according to one anecdote, they were already acquainted with Panini. So including children, all people were fairly acquainted with Panini's Islam. This is inclusion. And in Pataliputra, it is exclusion. This is quite clear, I think. I don't need to explain it any further. So he says, Abhividho, A Kumaram Yashak Paninehe, A Kumarebhya. Now, the very obvious thing which strikes us is, I don't remember, I haven't mentioned this rule. Maybe perhaps on the next paper, I don't see. But for Aang, we have two different rules. One teaching Karma Pravachaniya Samya, and this one teaching Avyayi Bhava. In the rule 1489, which teaches Karma Pravachaniya Samya, only Maryada is mentioned. And it says Aang Maryada Vachani. Whereas in this rule, which teaches compounding of two meanings are mentioned, Maryada and Abhividhi. So how to account for this meaning Abhividhi, which is not mentioned by Panini anywhere? This is the question which is taken up also by commentators. But let us see what Patanjali says here first. So Patanjali says, Maryada Abhividhi Grahanam Shakyam Akartum. Patanjali again here it's a mule kutaraha. Patanjali says neither Maryada nor Abhividhi is mentioned, needs to be mentioned in this. Why? Karma Pravachaniya Yukte Panchami Vidiyate. Etaichaiva Arthayoho Ang Karma Pravachaniya Saudhyavati Anyatra. Because Panchami again is continued in this rule. Panchami, is it so? Yeah, Apapari Bhahirancham Panchamya. From this rule, Panchamya is continued in this rule. So the complete rule is Aang Maryada Abhividho Panchamya Avyayi Bhavaha. So when Panchami is mentioned in the sutra, and along with that Aang is mentioned, it means or it suggests that Aang, in whatever senses Aang conveys, Aang is called Karma Pravachaniya, it is compounded. Karma Pravachaniya Yukte Panchami Vidiyate, एकयोश्चयो अर्थयोः आं कर्मप्रवचनीय संज्ञो भवति नान्यत्र. Now here again we have a problem. आं एतयोः अर्थयोः कर्मप्रवचनीय संज्ञः भवति says Patanjali, but actually the rule mentions only Maryada. And it says Am Maryadayam Karma Pravachaniya Sammo. But for that also I think finally Patanjali has given a reply on the rule Am Maryada Vachane itself. Because since he finds the word Abhividhi missing in this rule, Am Maryada Vachane, which defines Karma Pravachaniya, he says Kumaram Yashat Paninehe. And then there is some discussion, how can we have it, etc. And then he says, Maryada Vachane Ityeva Siddham. Esha Asya Yashasu Maryada. So even Abhividhi is also a kind of a Maryada. Abhividhi also is a limit. It is inclusive limit. That other one is exclusive limit. If I don't know whether I'm correct when I say exclusive limit for Maryada. But because I find it quite parallel with inclusive limit, I use it. Those who are experts in English, they may further inform me about this, whether I'm correct. Anyway, so Patanjali has already included Abhividhi in Maryada in his Bhashya on the rule 1489. And here he straight away rejects the mention of Maryada and Abhividhi in the rule itself on Maryada Vidhi. Now let us see what, we have already seen what Kashika has mentioned here, but it simply interprets and gives examples without any comment. Kashika doesn't say anything about whether Apataliputam Ruskodeva is an exclusive and Kumaramesha Panini is an inclusive limit. Nothing about that is clear in Kashika. Now let us go back to Chandra. And what we find in Chandra is again only one example, Apatalitutram Ruskodeva. Kumaram Yashat Panini is missing in Chandra. I don't know the reason. Perhaps Chandracharya also doesn't want this Abhividhi as the meaning of to be included in this Samasa. I don't know. Or maybe Panchika or some other explanation you will find in Chandra. Would anyone like to comment on this? This is what I think Vidya also had in her mind.
Dragomir, can you please read out the section about this?
Mahesh, you mean probably Avadehi Panchami in Chandra, does it?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can read basically two things. Yes, one is under Avadehi Panchami, we have examples regarding Maryada and so on. That part is included and there's a comment. And there should be also some comment in the Samasa section here. I mean, about the example and maybe or about the inclusion of this rule in the.
Now I had just very short time to have a look now at the Panchika on Chandra 281. Now the 81 is a very long one. It's
Yeah,
almost
right.
2 folios. It is.
I mean, we have a transcript of that. So.
Yes, we have, but it's really a very long one. But
yeah,
before,
but no,
before
I mean, in between only about that section.
one second. Let me. So I see now in his comment on the present sutra in which we have Ang. So on 2227 in the commentary, he says Apataliputrat iti Maryada Abhividyoh Avadehi Panchami. So this is the only comment on this example. And then we have to go to Avadehi Panchami into 281. Sorry, in 2181. which is this long one. There he has in the vritti Pataliputrat iti, tata desha kala mane api Pataliputrat rajagriham saptayojanani. No, this is not the one.
Something.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. But I'm looking now in the vritti. If someone else, Jojan, if you see something, please tell us, because I don't see now an example with a Pataliputrat or something like this under 2181.
In the meanwhile, I mean, in the meanwhile, when you till you find the relevant sections, let me just add here that yes, I mean for the Chandra system, of course, they haven't formulate special rule to give a karma pravachaniya saujnya to Ang in this particular sense of Maryada and Abhividi. But straight away, I mean, the Panchami is taught. And this Panchami, they say, because Maryada and Abhividi, or Maryada is basically one of the meaning of Avadhi. Because the Chandra rule for Apadana is Avadhe Panchami. So, and there in the very commentary, in the Vritti itself, that Abhividhi is a synonym of Maryada, Sima, and Aghata. And we have actually a similar comment also in Kashika. So they say that Abhividhi basically covers the idea of Maryada as well. So therefore, I mean, this Panchami in connection with Ang can be simply taught, I mean, it can be again subsumed under the same rule, Avadeh Panchami. As Patanjali also says that Apadane Panchami is enough, in fact, to take care of all these things. So the same, I mean, approach basically has been taken by the Chandras. In the same way, about the Maryada, they say yes, Maryada will include Maryada and Abhividi. I mean, Maryada can, in a way, also include Abhividi because it is also a kind of Maryada, as Madam just now has said. So, in fact, the very view has been expressed by the Chandra commentators. So, I think Madam has read their minds. So, and therefore, I mean, they think that it is not necessary to have these two separate things. But they do have this kind of understanding that Maryada is an exclusive limit and Abhividi is an inclusive limit. So that idea, that notion is there. But they say that it can be subsumed under the category Maryada, as Panini has also done actually in this rule, Ang Maryada Vachane. It seems that that's an explanation given by the commentator. So this is a comment which I wanted to add. That's it. Dragomir, have you?
Yeah, in the meantime, Jojan also helped me here a bit. We have on 2182 the example in the Vritti Apataliputrat, and Ratna in this context says Maryadayam Abhividaucha Anyuktat Panchami Ishyate. Now he refers to the Paninians by this. Sapi Maryada Abhividyoch Avaditvat Avadeh iti eva siddha iti udahritya katayati Apataliputrat ityadi. Tatahi Maryada Avadih iti paryayo Abhividih api Maryada Vishesha eva Avadimata Vyaptah katyate. Tatascha Maryada Abhividyoch etavan matrako Vishesha ityaha vina, and this is another one.
No, this is still with the same thing. So vina, because then he talks about it exclusive limit and inclusive limit.
Yeah, well, ityaha vina pataliputrena saha va iti vishesha vina pataliputrena vrishtu pataliputrat arvak iti artaha. Saha va iti saha eva pataliputrena vrishtu pataliputram abhivyapyeti yavat. Tatra pataliputram grihitva vrishtu na pataliputrat parastat api iti avadih eva vrishtu apataliputrat iti. This is
yes.
this is the answer.
Thank you very much. So this is, I mean, what I've already said. I think the same is expressed here in the Panchika. Yes, that's it. I hope Nidhi has got her answer to this.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, madam, please continue.
One question which actually I wanted to ask even earlier, and that is do the Chandras accept this technical term karma pravachaniya or anything similar to this? Not technical term as such, because Chandram asodhyatum vyakaranam.
No. So the karma, no, the karma pravachaniya category is not accepted. They have used other devices to take care of, I mean, specific, grammatical operations related to karma pravachaniya. But as such, they have not defined the term karma pravachaniya.
Okay. And another question is, why do you think did Chandra omit this example? Akumaram Yashaf Pandini.
That's, I think, hard to say. I mean, earlier we have just seen that in case of Khyati, he did mention Iti Panini. So he has no grudge against Panini. So I don't think that's the reason why he omitted it. But I think for them, this Pataliputram or Atrigartham, I mean, that basically represents both Maryada and Abhividi. So I think they probably thought it not necessary to include this example. But one interesting, explanation which I read somewhere, I don't know where, but I think maybe in some Katantra commentaries or somewhere, I don't remember the exact location or reference to it. But Akumaram Yashaf Panini, the Panini, of course, as we have seen, interpreted as the fame of Panini is, it even goes even up to children. But in the I think it is in the Katantra tradition, they interpret this as the Panini's fame was there until Kumara, and this Kumara basically refers to the Kumara Lata, and the very first grammarian in the Katantra, in the Indra school, basically was a Kumara Lata. So Kumara Lata composed his grammar in the 3rd century. At least that's what we know right now. So they say that till his grammar came into existence, Panini's fame was there. So after Kumara Lata's grammar came into existence, probably Katantra school became more popular. So they basically interpret it also as an example of Maryada and not of Abhividi. I don't really remember exactly where, but this is interestingly, I mean, how there is this kind of a hegemonic struggle in different grammatical schools. Yes, but the same example interpreted differently.
Very interesting. And this reminds me that Dr. S.D. Laddu had written a separate paper on this. Akumaram Yashaf Pandini. Just on this particular example, he wrote a small paper. But I don't remember the conclusion, but I remember to have read it. I remember to have seen it somewhere.
Was it published in Annals or somewhere?
Yes,
if you could
it was,
find out the reference, it would be interesting to see.
Maybe not in Annals, but perhaps in CSS Studies. Because CSS Studies was a journal published by University of Pune, Center of Advanced Studies in Sanskrit. Till S.D. Joshi was the director.
Yes.
Maybe 1 or 2 volumes.
Okay, we should check. Yeah. Thank you for this.
Perhaps, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, because I regularly used to read that journal as I was a part of CSS at that time.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
I remember. But anyway, this is something interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
We can, yes, and another interpretation also could be, I mean, it can be possible, and that is, Kumaram Yashaf Pandini, if they really want to censure Pandini, they can say that Pandini is known only to children. Elder.
Yes. In fact, I mean, you see that, we also found this in some of the Chandra commentators, that Panini gives so many details. I mean, all this prapancha, lots of prapancha on his part, in terms of, as we have seen in case of Panchami and so on. So they say that, I mean, his grammar is rather Balanam Sukha Bodhaya. So he writes, I mean, in order to tell everything to kids. I mean, he doesn't let them, use their own brain. So he's giving them everything. I mean, everything very clearly spelled out. whereas they say that okay, in other system in the Chandra Katantra, says okay, there are so many things which you can simply infer or you know, use your logic and use logic, and you can understand those things. There is no need to explain. I mean, to set out rule for each and everything. So, so that criticism is there. In fact, we have seen this in some of the commentaries. Yeah.
Okay, and it will continue. It will carry on further.
Yeah. Yeah. Please.
Okay, so now we have finished with this 13, which is already taken care of by 7 in Chandra, and now we move to 14. Am I right? Yeah. Avivido Kumaram Eshapmanani. Lakshanena Abhiprati Abhimukhe. And now here he refers to the two indeclinables, which again are karma pravachanyas, Abhi and Prati. And when Abhimukhya is to be denoted, and they are compounded with a word which conveys Lakshana. And Lakshana he renders as Chinnam. Chinna or Lakshana, it means a mark. We have already seen it, mark or even an aim. And Abhimukhya is interpreted in two different ways. In perhaps in one of the commentaries of Kashika, I don't remember, but I have recorded it in my notebook, and that is Abhigatam Mukham Yasya Saha Abhimukha, or Abhigataha Mukham also is Abhimukha. So either he makes his face towards something, or he moves towards something facing that thing. Both ways, ultimately, it simply means Abhimukham means facing or towards. This is an adverbial expression. And Abhimukhya is Abhimukhasya Bhavaha. This twofold interpretation I found on the rule Abhehe Mukham, which teaches Antodapta of this compound Abhimukha. And this rule is from the 6th chapter, 2nd pada. The rule number is 185, if you are interested in more details. And then he says, I mean the author Kashika says, Bahuvrihi ayam pradi samasova. So Abhimukha can also either be a Bahuvri or pradi. Anyway, this is just an additional information on the word Abhimukha. So it means, the rule means indeclinable Abhi and Prati, denoting the meaning towards, are compounded with a Samartha Subanta, conveying a mark. So Abhimukhya is the meaning denoted by these two, whereas the word which is compounded with them serves as a Lakshana, or it conveys Lakshana or mark. Now, I think I have given the rules which define Karma Pravachaniya Saunya for Abhi and Prati. The first one is Lakshanetham Bhutakhyana Bhava Vipsasu Prati Pari Anava. So these three indeclinables, Prati, Pari and Anu, they are called Karma Pravachaniya if when they denote Lakshana, Ittam Bhutakhyana, Bhaga and Vipsa. I am not going into the details of this sutra explaining meaning of each and every word. Right now it's not relevant also. But here we have a very clear-cut reference to Lakshana, which is also found in this rule number 14. And Lakshana here is connected with these two indeclinables. Abhi is called, for Abhi I haven't given you the rule. The rule is Abhi Abhage, the very next rule. So it means that Abhi is also called Karma Pravachaniya, again in all these meanings except Bhaga. So abhi and prati, both, and in addition to that, pari and anu, as they are mentioned in the earlier rule. So all these, they convey, they are called karma pravachaniya when they convey lakshana or ittam bhutakhyana or vipsa. This bhaga I have dropped for the time being. Yes, and which is the case, karma pravachaniya yukte ditya should be the rule which says that these karma pravachaniyas, they govern accusative. Karma pravachaniya yukte ditya, which is a very general rule which we have seen earlier. Lakshanam chinnam tad vachina subantena sah abhiprati shabdau abhimukhye vartamanau. So they convey abhimukhya. Vibhasha samasyate. Here it is said abhimukhye vartamanau, and in the other rule which I read out to you just now, it is lakshana ittam bhutakhyana bhaga vipsa. So lakshana also is mentioned as a meaning of abhi and prati in these two. So in case of abhi and prati, we have to say that both these meanings are connoted or they are denoted, not directly expressed, as we have seen Dyotakatva, this issue of Dyotakatva and Vachakatva raised by Mahesh some time ago. So abhimukhye vartamano vibhasha samasyati. And here he says tadu chinna vachina subante. The example is abhyagni shalabhaha patanti. Shalabha means a grasshopper or a locust. And this is our very common experience, particularly when it rains and the rain stops in the middle and then it's all, dry, and from somewhere or from nowhere, these locusts, they appear. And as soon as we put on the lights, they start dancing around the lights. So abhyagni, there is also some agni even in this light. So towards the fire, locusts are flying. Agnim lakshikritya. So they are aiming at the fire. And that is why Agni becomes a mark or a sign. So we have both the usages, Abhyagni and Agni Abhi. Similarly, Pratyagni and Agnim Prati. And then he further explains Agnim Lakshikritya Abhimukham Patati, which I translated as making fire as their aim. They are flying. Lakshanena iti kim srugnam pratigataha pratinivritya srugnam eva abhimukham gataha. Srugna must have been a very popular city in ancient times, because in very, very old commentaries, perhaps even in Patanjali's Mahabhashya, Srugna makes its appearance. So pratinivritya srugnam eva abhimukham gataha. So prati certainly denotes abhimukhya in this sentence, srugnam prati gataha. But this abhimukhya also has an additional context, and that is pratinivritya abhimukham gataha. So first he went out from Srugna, and then he returns to Srugna, and while returning he is facing Srugna. So this is not Srugnam Lakshikritya, you cannot say. So, and it is not a Lakshana. He returned to Srugna. After having returned, he was facing Srugna, or he went towards Srugna. This is the meaning understood here. And since we don't have, Srugna is not a mark or a sign towards which he is moving, there is no compounding or, there is no samasa. Pratinivritya सृघ्नमेव अभिमुखं गतः. अभिप्रति इति किं? येन अग्निः तेन गतः. In this expression, yena agnihi tena gata, he went there where fire was. Is a very straightforward, literal meaning of this word. Yena agnihi tena gataha. Obviously, we don't have either abhi or prati used in this sentence, and therefore the possibility of compounding is completely ruled out in this case. Agni here is the aim, and abhimukhya is also conveyed by yena. So other conditions are fulfilled. Whenever there is a padakritya given by these commentators, they always find an exclusive padakritya, in the sense that while all the other conditions are fulfilled, only one condition is not fulfilled, and therefore this cannot be an example. Similar thing happens in case of yena agnihi tena gataha, which means that although Agni is the Lakshana, Agni performs the role of the Lakshana because he went towards the Agni, and also Abhimukhya is conveyed by Yena and Tena. He went facing the Agni, towards the Agni, etc. You can understand the meaning. But since none of these two, neither of these two, Abhi or Prati, is mentioned, they are absent, no compounding is possible. So we cannot make a compound like yad agnihi tad gata here, because for this kind of a compounding, no rule is stated. And Nyasa clearly says here, yena tena shabdabhyam samaso na bhavati. So we don't have yad agni or tad agni, yad agni, tad agni. Now there is one more question about this construction that struck me when I read this sentence was, how come there is tritiya? We would have said yatra agnihi tatra gataha, but here he says yena agnihi tena gataha, and then I tried to find out some rule, and that rule is the rule is not, of course, existent in the Ashtadhyayi, but there is a Vartika, Prakrutyadibhya upasankhyanam, Prakrutya, Charu, etc. These examples, those who have read Siddhanta Kumbhari, they might remember it. So this is again a, you can say, Upapada Vibhakti, this Tritiya. In certain cases, Tritiya governs certain constructions. So this is the only explanation we can give about the use of Yena and Tena, use of Tritiya in this construction. Yena Agnihi Tena Gata. Abhimukhye kim? Abhyanka gavaha, Pratyanka gavaha, Navankaha ityartha. When Abhi and Prati convey Abhimukhya towards, then only Samasa takes place. In this particular expression, Abhyanka gavaha, Abhi doesn't convey Abhimukhya, and therefore no compounding is possible. Abhyanka or Pratyanka is an adjective of gava, cows. Anka means again a sign, a mark. And Abhi means, as he interprets it here, Navo, Navankaha ityartha, fresh. So earlier there was a practice of painting or giving some, writing some mark on the ears of the cows, so that they could identify their cows when they are taking them out to the pastures for grazing. And when quite a few people, they bring their own herds of cows there, they get mixed up with each other. So in order to identify one's own cows, he used to that person used to put marks. So such marks on the ears of the cows, they are ankas. So in this case, these ankas are fresh, novo. They are freshly painted, maybe. I mean, this is my guess. If there is any better explanation, you are most welcome to offer. But I tried to understand this in this way because there are a few rules in Panini's Ashtadhyaya which also refer to Karna and Anka. And there the commentators show or they explain this Karna with Anka the way I have explained it to you right now. Abhi means Abhinava, Prati means Pratinava. So here also Lakshana exists. The words Abhi and Prati are there, but Abhimukhya is missing in this Pratyudaharana, and therefore we don't have Abhyanka Gava, Pratyanka Gava. So here we can't have Avyayi Bhava, but we have Bahuvrihi. Abhinavaha Ankaha Yasam Taha Abhyankaha. Pratinavaha Ankaha Yasam Taha Pratyan. Maybe cows or bulls. So that doesn't matter. And now let's see what Chandra says on this. Abhiprati Lakshanena Abhiprati 8. Abhiprati Lakshanena Saha Ekarthau Bhavataha. Abhyagni Shalabha Patanti. The same, I don't think any further explanation is needed because it is the same as it is in Kashika. Pratyagni Shalabha Patanti. Lakshanena iti kim Sirgunam Pratigataha. Abhiprati iti kim Yena Agnihi Tena Gataha. The only thing missing in this commentary is a further explanation, as we find it here in Kashika. So sometimes explanation is missing in Kashika and sometimes it is missing in Chandra. It doesn't matter. Their commentaries take care of whatever is missing. Anya padarthepi vachanantarena bhavati abhyanka gavaha. So Chandra also seems to have taken care of this Abhyanka Gava, this example Abhyanka Gava, but he doesn't mention it as a Pratyudaharana. It is simply mentioned as a compound with Abhi as one of its constituents, and therefore it appears here. Otherwise, it has nothing to do with this Samasa. Yes, another thing it has to do here is Lakshana, but no Abhimukhya, as we have seen in while interpreting Kashika. Now, why is this Abhyanka given so much importance? I don't know, both in Kashika and Chandra. Anyway, I found a similar remark also in Nyasa, and there is a lot of discussion on this Abhyanka. And finally, you know, the sum total of this whole discussion, you can say the Saramsha, summary of this discussion is that Anya Padarthatvat Atra Bhuvrihi Abhyanka Gava. And because Anya Padartha is a very special condition for Bhuvrihi, we have to make it a Bahuri compound, whereas it is not Anya Padartha here. In case of the examples of Avyabhava, we have. So the two domains are quite exclusive. This is this summary of the whole thing. If you want, I can read it, but then the whole thing, you know, goes a bit away, and we land into some other problems. Therefore, I skip it. I already have noted down the whole thing, the whole passage from Nyasa. Abhinavaha ankaha yesham ityatra paratvat bhuvrihina bhavyam atah saha badhaku bhavati, etc. So it's just a long discussion. I omit it. Okay. So we go to the next Paninian Sutra, Anur Yat Samaya. Samaya Samipam. अनुर्यस्य समीपवाची तेन लक्षणभूतेन सह विभाषा समस्यते अव्ययी भावश्च समासो भवति अनुवनम् अशनिर्गतः. Samaya means samipam, that is near, close. So the Kashika says the indeclinable anu is optionally compounded with a samartha subanta, which conveys a mark tena lakshana bhutena yasya samipa vachi, and the nearness of which is denoted by anu. So anu conveys samaya. Anu conveys samaya, closeness with something, with some word, and that word denotes mark. Anuhu yasya samipavachi. So anu, from this expression, it is quite clear that anu is used here in the sense of samipam. So it's a synonym for samipam. So instead of using the word samipam, the indeclinable anu is used. Yasya samipavachi anuhu. Tena lakshana bhutena sah vibhasha samasyate. And the example will make it more clear. Anuvanam ashanirgataha. The thunderbolt or the lightning went in the direction of the forest or near the forest, you can say, because samaya is the meaning of anu. So anuvanam, the lightning went close to the forest. This is the meaning of the compound anuvanam. So what denotes what is always a problem. So anu denotes samipo and vana denotes mark or landmark. There is no much confusion in this case as it was in the earlier case. So I don't see anything. Yeah, there is, of course. Yeah. Further to be discussed. Anuhu iti kim? Vanam samaya. Why the compounding is with anu is allowed, and why the word anu is mentioned in the sutra? Because the same meaning is conveyed by the expression vanam samaya. There is no compounding because there is no word anu here. Yat samaya iti kim? Vruksham anu vidyotate vidyut. Now here a question with reference to the meaning samaya itself. Why is it said samaya in the rule? Because if anu doesn't convey samaya, no compounding is possible. An example is vruksham anu vidyotate vidyut. In this example, vruksham anu vidyotate vidyut, the indeclinable anu doesn't convey closeness, samipya, samaya, but again it conveys just lakshana. Anushabdaha, yes, and Nyasa rightly observes, Anushabdaha atra lakshane vartate na samipye. And we have already seen the rule, lakshane ittham bhutakhyana bhaga vipsasu prati pari anava. So it is again karma pravachaniya. Karma pravachaniya yukte dvitiya is a rule which also we have to remember here. Now, if you want, there is some more discussion I can share with you on the construction Yat Samaya in the Sutra. And they say Yat Samaya is a compound. I mean, these commentators. And Samaya is, of course, an indeclinable, and it governs Dvitiya, actually. By the rule, Abhitaf Paritas Samaya Nikashaha Pratiyogepi. I'm sorry, it's not a rule. It's a Vartika. Perhaps I have mentioned it on my paper. Abhitaf Paritas Samaya Nikashaha Pratiyogepi Dvitiya. It is a Vartika, and it it is a upapada vibhakti, dvitiya. So etaihi shabdaihi yoge dvitiya vibhakti bhavati. And therefore we have dvitiya in the construction gramam samaya, and samaya governs dvitiya. So how to interpret this word yat samaya? Yat samaya or yam samaya, what does it mean? Kashika obviously takes it as a compound, and it uses the case shashti here, anuhu yasya samipavachi, and it doesn't say yat samaya. Why so? Is the question raised in the commentaries? Why does it not say anuhu yat samaya? And why does it say anuhu yasya samipavachi? That is shashti. So how to explain this word yasya samipavachi? And Nyasa, now look at this sukshmekshika of these commentators. Very, very subtle, way of interpreting things. So Nyasa says, samaya shabdarthena yoge dvitiya vinyaya. Sacha arthaha mukhyaha eva grishyate. Sapunaha mukhyaha arthaha samipam. So samaya means samipa. So with this meaning, dvitiya is used. Samaya shabda se yaha arthaha tena yoge dvitiya. And sacha arthaha mukhyaha samipam. Nachaiha samaya shabdasya mukhyaha arthaha asti. In this case, anuhu yat samaya does not use the word samaya in the mukhya sense. The mukhya sense is samipam. So it doesn't mean to say anuhu yasya samipam vartate. But it says anuhu yasya samipa vachi. So here Nyasa says that the word samaya is used in the gauna artha, gaunaha artha. Kasaha gaunaha artha? Anuhu eva samaya shabdena uchyate. So anuhu yasya samipavachi. If you remember, I said right in the beginning while explaining this rule that this expression anuhu yasya samipavachi means that anu is a synonym used for samipa. And indeed we find it in expressions like anuvanam, which can be rendered as vanam samaya. So either we have anu vanam or we can have vanam samaya. And thus we have the word anu here used for samaya. So anuhu eva samaya shabdena uchyate tasmat shesha lakshana shashti eva nyaya, and therefore anuhu yasya samipavachi. So what he wants to point out is that in the sutra anuriyat samaya, the word samaya does not convey the main meaning, the prominent meaning, that is samipam. It conveys the meaning of the word anu. Ihatu samaya shabda vachini anushabde samaya shabdo vartat. And therefore it is anuhu yasya samaya. Otherwise, the expression would have been something like, gramam samaya anuhu. So anu is close to gramam. Something like that we could form. But anu itself is compounded with a word near which something happening is to be conveyed and which serves as a mark. And therefore Siddhanta Kaumudi also says yam padartham samayadyutyate. Yasya padarthasya samipam kimapi dyutyate. This is also an interpretation I found in the commentaries. So there is a lot of discussion on this compound yat samaya, which conflicts with the use of anu with dvitiya, or particularly the vigraha of the compound as found in Kashika yasya samipavachi. So this is all about samaya as used by Panini in his sutra. I think we have finished this discussion in Kashika. Yeah, only the last line. Vruksham anu vidyutate vidyut. Avyam vibhakti samipa ityeva siddhe punarvachanam vibhashartham. So avyam vibhakti samipa samruddhi vrityartha bhava etc. That long rule contains the meaning samipa. So why once again this samipya is mentioned here as the condition for compounding? It is already mentioned in this general rule. So he says vibhashartham. In order to continue this word vibhasha in this rule, it is mentioned once again so that the compound would be optional with the expression, with the sentence like vanam samaya. Anuvanam, and also we have a parallel expression vanam samaya. No, anuvanam, not vanam samaya. So we have both anuvanam and either anuvanam or vanam anu. That is vakya and samasa both. So here we have finished discussion in Kashika on Anuriyat Samaya, and now we go to Chandra and we find something additional in Chandra. Anuhu samipya ayamayo. Anushabdaha samipye ayamecha vartamanaha subantena sah ekartho bol. So I think we should read the next rule because next rule in the Ashtadhyayi, I mean, because that deals with this ayam as yet another meaning conveyed by anu. So the rule number 16 in the Ashtadhyayi is yasya cha ayamaha, and it says again lakshanena iti vartate. Ayamaha dairghyam. So ayama means length or expansion. Anuhu yasya ayama vachi tena lakshana bhutena sah vibhasha samasyate. Anu is compounded with that word which conveys length and also mark. So both these meanings are denoted by the word with which it is connected. But at the same time, no, it's okay. Ayama is not the one of the meanings ascribed to anu. So ayama is also conveyed by that word, and it also serves as a lakshan. Lakshanena iti vartate ayamaha dairghyam anuhu yasya ayama vachi tena lakshana bhutena sah vibhasha samasyate avyayi bhavascha samaso bhavati. Anugangam Varanasi or Anuyamunam Mathura. So here Mathura or Ganga, they convey ayama or length. How long is Varanasi spread? It is spread on the length of Ganga. Mathura is spread on the length of Yamuna. This will be the literal translation. You can translate it in better English as it is extended or it is spread along the river Yamuna. So its length is, in other words, marked by the river Yamuna. The length of Mathura is marked by that of Yamuna. The length of Varanasi is marked by that of Ganga. Anugangam Varanasi, Anuyamunam Mathura, and the explanation is Mathura Yamuna Ayamena Mathura Ayamo Lakshyate. The length of Mathura is indicated by the length of Yamuna. Ayama iti kim vruksham anu vidyutate vidyut. The same stock of examples which they have, they are using again and again. And we have often talked about this poverty of examples with these commentators. So ayamaha iti kim? Why is the word ayama used in the sutra? It is used in the sutra because only when ayama is conveyed, the compound takes place. In this expression, vruksham anuvidyutate vidyut, there is no ayama conveyed by anu, denoted by the word even vruksha or any other word. So there is no compounding. I found one more thing in the commentaries, and that's really very interesting. They say, well, Ganga has length, and Varanasi also has length, and their lengths are compared with each other, and they describe the lengths of each other. So why don't we have a compound like Anu Varanasi Ganga, or say Anu Mathuram Yamuna? Why not compounds like this? So other way around. And they reply, these commentators, saying that whatever is dirghatara is intended as ayama here. So it's a measure. Whatever is longer, more lengthy, longer, or how will you say broader in length, is always taken as a measure of measuring length. So here both Yamuna and Mathura, they are dirghatara than Varanasi. So Varanasi can not be a measurement of Ganga. It can be other way around. And therefore we don't have compounds like this. So such interesting discussions also you will find in these commentaries. One more point I want, perhaps I made a reference to that earlier, and that was regarding these examples. Maybe what I say now is a repetition, and I had already said it earlier, but a comparison of these examples with the attestations. Now for attestations, we don't need to go to the text also. It is much easier if, because we find them in dictionaries. So just open the dictionary and look for all the words with anu, look for all the words with yatha, prati, and try to check if they convey the same meaning as it is recorded here. And if the examples which are given by Kashika or these other commentaries, they really exist in literature. That would also be, I think, an exercise worth undertaking, I feel. And now we go back to Chandra. Anushabdaha samipye ayamecha vartamana. So both the meanings are put together: samipya, closeness, and length. Subantena sah ekartho bhavati. But is the word, this meaning ayama conveyed by the word anu? Again, the same kind of confusion. Samipya is okay, but ayama is conveyed by anu, or it is conveyed by the other word. Vartamana subantena sah ekartha bhavati. Anu vanam ashanirgata. So anu conveys samipya. It's all right. Anu gangam varanasi. So does anu convey ayama, or it is Ganga which conveys ayama? Samipya ayamayoho iti kim vruksham anu vidyutate vidyut. So there is no much, not at all, no addition here. In Chandra, it is just a summary of what we find in the Kashika. So any comment anyone wants to?
Yeah, so there are a few things which I would like to just mention here. Starting from even the earlier rule, I mean, when we talked about Lakshanena Abhiprati Abhimukhya. Now, one interesting thing which we find there is that in the Chandra system, I mean, they don't think it is necessary to include the condition Abhimukhya.
Yeah,
And
thank you very much. I mentioned it in my notebook, but I forgot to mention. Okay.
Yeah, and actually the justification for that, in a way, comes from this counter example, which is there, because Abhyanka Gava and Paryanka Gava. So, I mean, even without this condition, this our present rule can work. I mean, this is what is basically suggested, and therefore these two examples, Abhyanka Gava and Paryanka Gava, they can be taken care of by the rule teaching Bahuvrihi. So this, in a way, I mean, suggests that this condition is not really that necessary, because the counter example which Kashika gives, I mean, we can say that okay, this does not fall in the domain of this particular rule, so it is not really necessary. That is the Chandra view on this, it seems. Second point which I wanted to make is that this particular use of yena tena, I mean, in the like yena aganis tena gatta and so on. So this one, I mean, this particular use of instrumental is very peculiar to Buddhist Sanskrit literature as well as in the Pali, yes, Pali literature. So this yena tena, yena indicating basically again, it is something same as like a it has a sense of kind of abhimukhya, you can say that this instrumental conveys a sense of abhimukhi bhavana or abhimukhya. So whenever you say, like they often say in the Buddhist text, like yena bhagavan stena gataha, so he went towards the Bhagavan. So the sense of abhimukhya is rather conveyed by that instrumental. So I don't know whether we can also kind of draw a Jnapaka, like earlier we have seen in the case of Bahis, that because the Bahis is mentioned in that rule, you can say that okay, Panchami is also used in connection with Bahis. So I don't know whether we can actually have similar thing here, that because of this abhimukhya mentioned here, the instrumental is used in that sense. I'm not sure, but I mean, just one thing which I wanted to point out is that this usage is very common in the Buddhist Sanskrit as well as in the Pali texts. And one more comment is regarding, again, Chandra's principle of brevity. So you can see that he has clubbed again the two rules together, Anuryat Samaya and Yasya Chayamaha, and then again has basically got rid of this pronouns Yat Yasya, and simply formulated a rule with Samipa Ayamayoho, without using that pronoun which actually indicates the relation. That's also in a way significant, because that is for them it is something which is implied, and and this is normally the Sambandhe Shashti that will be probably used. It is also interesting to see that, I mean, he has got rid of this problem by replacing the word Samaya with Samipam. There might be two reasons which I think. I mean, one is that one reason might be that the word Samaya probably was not so, I mean, became obsolete by the time of Chandra, and then he thought it necessary to replace it by more popular, more well-known term Samipa. Or secondly, as we have seen, I mean, and Madam has also referred to it, that they have this problem discussing, I mean, how we can have a compound, I mean, with Samaya and so on and so forth. This particular issue about the Yat Samaya compound. And Chandra here seems to be aware of this, and that might be another reason why he replaced the word, I mean, this phrase Yat Samaya simply by Samipa. So these are the few observations. Dragomir, if you have spotted anything there in the Panchika, can you please share it with us?
I'm reading now alongside the manuscript, but I don't see now anything which is perhaps so worth now to point out.
Okay.
It's a bit difficult now because we don't have a proper transcript of this, and it's not so straightforward. But I don't see now any discussion about the, I mean, against the Paninian choice of words, and he simply comments on the two words of our sutra in the Paninian, in the Chandra terms.
Yeah.
I think there isn't anything.
Yeah, and just one last remark. In Chandra, often we find this expression Vartamana. I mean, he when he explains the meaning mostly, he uses this expression Vartamana. So it is then kind of taken to be, um, I mean, the meaning conveyed by the term. I mean, it can be Dyotya as well as Vacha. So the term Vartamana is used, I think, in more general sense. But often, yes, I mean, in the Chandra system too, they hold the same view that basically the Nipatas and Upasargas are Arthya-Dyotakas and not Arthavachakas. So they also follow this particular uh, viewpoint. And so they rather prefer this expression Vartamana. Like they say, as we have seen in this particular commentary, Samipa Ayama Ayameshu Vartamana Anu. Something like this. Yeah. Okay, that's it from my side. So we can proceed then.
Sorry, I want to ask you something.
Yes, please.
Okay. I might miss something on the sutra Lakshanena Abhiprati. So with regard to Tena Agnihi, Yena Agnihi Tena Gataha, you quoted a certain vertical. So would you tell me it again?
Madam, for you.
Yes, but I did not understood your question.
He wanted to know from you the Vartika, which you mentioned in connection with the Yena Tena construction.
Okay. Prakrutyadibhya upasankhyanam is a Vartika, which says the words Prakriti, etc.
Yeah.
They govern Tritiya.
Okay, thank you.
Prakrutyaadibhya upasankhyanam.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know where the Vartika appears.
It is under the rule. I mean, Karatu Karunayos Tritiya. Yeah, the same one which we were also looking at, Chojan,
Yeah.
a couple of days ago.
Okay.
I mean, with the Mogalana, we have seen these examples.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's under Karatu Karunayos Tritiya.
Okay, thank you.
Where we have the example like Prakrutya Abhirupaha and so on. Prakrutya Abhirupaha.
Okay. And in
Samena
addition,
Dhavati, Vishamena Dhavati.
Yeah, Mahesh Sensei said this expression counterexample seems to be a Buddhist specific Buddhist phrase. Yeah, you said.
No, I said that this expression
Yeah.
I mean, this phrase is quite common in the Buddhist
literature.
literature.
So this idea has already been given by Professor Thomas Ovaris in his first study of the study of Chandra Vyakarana. And this idea was rejected by Professor Bronkhorst, actually. So you can see such a matter in his article. So this is just an additional matter.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. If you could share the details, maybe it would be also nice.
Yeah.
Of these two articles. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, am I allowed to make a few comments?
Yes, please.
What do you think, Mahesh? You said this Lakshanena Abhiprati Abhimukhye is dropped in Chandra, and this example Abhyankagava itself also makes it clear. While it is given as a counter example in Kashika, it is mentioned here along with this as an example of Bahuvrihi and not of. But of course, it indirectly it suggests, isn't it, that it is a counter example. That is number one. Number two, he says Anya Padarthepi Vachanantarana Bhavati. So it means that the same meaning, that is Abhimukhya, is implied here in Abhyanka. Does it mean like that? Because when he says Anya Padarthepi Vachanantarana Bhavati, So the same abhi and prati, which are found to be compounded in words like abhyagni and pratyagni, they are found to be compounded with words like anga in bahuvrihi. So perhaps Chandra, and can we say like that, he doesn't distinguish between the meanings. Whereas in Kashika Vritti, one of the commentaries of Kashika, perhaps it is Nyasa, I'm not sure. Yeah, it is Nyasa. They interpret the word abhi in abhyanka differently from the word abhi in abhyagni and pratyagni. So meanings are different. That is number one. Number two is by rounding up things like this in Chandra, not giving meanings of abhiprati, or not talking about vachakatva and dutaka, as you said, by simply saying vartamana, etc. So it is, of course, good and far easier for the students to understand. No more burden of this kind of a debate, shastrartha. It's all right, but don't you feel that it it deprives the later scholars from any further discussions? Panini allows a lot of scope for discussion. What is the meaning of abhi in this expression? What is the meaning of abhi in abhyanka? And further, as I said, whether upasargas, that is actually going into more details, whether upasargas directly convey the meaning or they indirectly convey. So it's all, for taking the Shastra further. It doesn't remain any more stagnant. That expands your horizons of understanding. Don't you think so?
As a response, I can only say that yes, I mean the Shastrartha is very much there. I mean, I'll start with that last point. The Shastrartha is very much there. The only thing is that it hasn't been read. I mean, because it is not available in editions, so on, and that's what actually we are toiling these days for. So, because in the Chandra Vritti, there are three commentaries, prominent commentaries. One is this Chandra Panchika, Chandra Vritti Vivarana Panchika by Ratnamati in 10th century grammarian. Then another probably more voluminous commentary was by Purnachandra called Shabdalakshana Vivarana Panchika, which is also available only in manuscript form and nobody has edited it until now. And the third, Sumati Panchika, the fragment of which was recently edited as a part of a PhD work by a Nepalese scholar, Ramhari, under Professor Oberlies. The PhD thesis was carried out. So these are the three. These are the three panchikas, and then on these panchikas also we have sub commentaries, and so that continued basically, as I said. I mean, there is Anandatta Paddhati on the Ratnamati Panchika. Then there is, Nibandhana by Ratnadatta, which is also not available these days. I mean, it's only available in few fragments. And then there is Chandralankara. Dragomir has actually edited a section of it, which was whatever it was available. Again, the fragment, and it was again by a Sinhalese grammarian. I mean, who kind of comes in the same lineage that of Ratnamati. So I mean, so there were lots of Shastrartha which was there. So it is not the case that they are simplifying things. In fact, they are countering the Paninian arguments given in Kashika and Nyasa. So I mean, Ratnamati certainly responds to Nyasa, engages with Nyasa very point to point, and this could be learned only when somebody really studies this text thoroughly. So the Shastrartha goes on. The only thing which I found is that in the later commentaries in the Paninian tradition, this debate does not continue. So I mean, there was no counter of the Chandra arguments. There are no counter arguments for the Chandra system in the Paninian tradition. So unfortunately, the dialogue ended there. I mean, so it did not further continue. Now, regarding the earlier points, my only point in the Abhimukhya matter was that for the Chandra, I mean, this is not a point of simplification, but actually he thought that the Abhimukhya condition is in a way redundant. I mean, he thinks that it is not really necessary. So even simply Lakshanena would be enough, and that can take care of the examples. So there is no, in a way, what do you say? There is no ati prasanga, if I'm to use the technical term. even if you don't use the term abhimukhya here in the rule. So that's their opinion, in fact. Yeah.
Mahesh, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Yes, please.
If I may add a few more things concerning the whole tradition in Chandra terms, most of these commentaries, unfortunately, are not properly preserved. They are only fragments. I have analyzed as much as I could in the legacy book. But of all these commentaries, I think everyone now will agree that Ratnamati's or Ratnasrishñana's commentary, the Panjika, which corresponds to the Nyasa in a way, structurally, is the most important thing. And we have a very lively discussion in this Panjika. Also now concerning this matter about Abhimukhya, I was just now reading in the manuscript, because this is also something which we haven't edited yet. So I can just very shortly read at least the beginning of this, just to show you that, I mean, they were very much aware of the issues. And usually the Chandra people, especially Ratnamati Ratnasrishñana, was extremely well prepared, very much qualified. He knew very well the Nyasa and the Kashika and the entire Paninian tradition. And the usual strategy was to justify why Chandra has chosen this way of presentation and why it is not so useful to keep it as we have it in the Paninian grammar. But always with due respect, it's a very, very highly intelligent, very, very nice discussion. And now in this particular situation, I see now in the manuscript which we have from it's kept in Cambridge. It's on 2.2 we have only one manuscript. So on the different padas we have different situations. So it is not always very, very good. For some padas we actually altogether miss. I think for three padas of the Panjika we are altogether missing any manuscripts. There are some manuscripts in Tibet, but they are unfortunately inaccessible for us, at least until now. So at least for these two we have this Cambridge one, and it says now, I see now in the manuscript, abhimukhyatam, sorry, abhimukhyam tu atra na asti iti ayam samaso na ishyati. Abhimukhya grahana abhavat prapnoti. स कस्मात् न स्यात् इति असकृत् आह अन्यपदार्थ इत्यादि. एवं मन्यते समासस्तावत् अयं स्वपदार्थे च रितार्थः. I'm not sure why it's रितार्थः. अन्यपदार्थे तु विप्रतिषेध.
It should be swapadarthe charitartha.
Sorry, yeah, swapadarte charitartha. Yeah, sorry, yeah. Anya padarte tu vipratishedhe para iti paratvat anya padartha iti anena badhishyate nacha evam siddhe api abhimukhya vachanam jñapakam asamkhya samase न अन्य पदार्थ समासो बाध्यते इति तेन द्वौ, perhaps द्वौ, तेन द्वौ मुनि इति तेन द्वौ मुनि व्याकरणस्य इति द्विमुनि व्याकरणस्य इति उपपन्नं स्यात्. इतरता अन्य पदार्थ एव स्यात् इति न एतत् एवं. द्वौ मुनि इति एतावत् मात्र विवक्षायाम् एव असंख्य समास उत्तर कालं तु कस्य एतत् इति अपेक्षायां व्याकरणस्य इति उच्यते. यदा तु युगपत् प्रक्रमो द्वौ मुनि व्याकरणस्य इति तदा परत्वात् अन्यपदार्थ इति एव समासे न भाव्यं द्विमुनिव्याकरणम् इति तथा च प्रयोगस्य सिद्धत्वात् perhaps ज्ञाप्यं न अस्ति अभिमुख्य ग्रहणम् apartakam. That's the comment on this issue. I was just reading from the manuscript, that's why it's not so fluid. Please excuse me for this. Yeah, that was Ratna's comment on this particular issue in the Panjika.
So it's a more or less summary of what Nyasa says. Yes.
It's usually either a summary or an argument against the Nyasa in full knowledge of the Nyasa.
Okay. Again, we are on a very slippery ground. We cannot decide whether. I mean, I don't know whether you have any proof to establish that Nyasa came after Panjika.
No. That's no question. The Nyasa is, of course, preceding the Panjika because the Panjika is from the 10th century, from the first half of the 10th century. There is no question about it. So Ratna was very fully aware of the Nyasa. We have very extensive evidence of this.
So then if I say that this is a summary of Nyasa, what you read out right now.
Yeah, well, what I said is in different situations, it could be a summary of the position as in the Nyasa, if Ratna happens to agree with this, or as it is usual, because he justifies the Chandra position, which is different from the Paninian, and the Nyasa, of course, is commenting on the Paninian tradition. Chandra is arguing against the Paninian tradition and consequently against the Nyasa position. So that's more often the case.
Okay. Now I understood that.
But by using the Nyasa, so he's clearly reading the Nyasa, and he's sometimes really almost quoting the Nyasa, but turning it the other way around and justifying the Chandra position. But there is a very close relationship.
Does he also mention Nyasakara, Nyasa by name?
I think there are very few explicit references. Usually there is no clear reference because I think for him it was quite clear that he's arguing against the Nyasa, so they didn't consider this necessary. Otherwise, Ratna is very conscientious as a true philologist. Usually, when he quotes something, if he knew the source, he's saying this is the source. We have much more clear evidence, quotations, references to the Paninians, so to Jaya Aditya and such stuff in the Paddhati, which is the next level. So the commentary on the Panjika by Anandadatta, which is a later commentary, perhaps from the 12th, 13th century at the latest.
Okay. Good. So thank you very much. I still have to make one comment on this Abhimukhya. And you said that he has omitted because he doesn't feel it necessary to mention the meaning because the Lakshanana takes care of that meaning. But then have you studied Chandra from the point of view of or against their Pratijna, Laghu Vispashta Shabdartham? So are they Vispashta in all these cases? So don't you think that it goes against their Pratijna? Because we have to understand quite a few things. We have to make anumana of these meanings. Well, it must be there, something like that. Whereas in Panini, it is Vispashta. Panini makes things more clear. Maybe for Balanam Sukhabodhai, actually it is not so. But from their point of view, yes. But this is, question for its own sake, arguments for its own sake. Huh? It's not like Purva Paksha, Uttara Paksha.
Yeah, actually, when he uses the term Vispashta in the Pratijna, this basically refers to the points of Sandeha where in the Paninian tradition itself. And of course, therefore, in Panini, we have the Paribhasha, right? Nahi Sandeha, the Lakshanam. So there are points of Sandeha in the Paninian tradition. like the very first thing which you also mentioned, like the Pratyahara Sutras itself with 2 nakaras and so on and so forth. So there are points of sandehas in the Paninian tradition, and when he says Vispashta, he's basically Pratijna is to make those earlier debatable points clear in his text. Yeah. So he's not talking about giving more examples or making more sutras to make everything so clear and so on. I mean, that's not what he means when he uses the term Vispashta here. And that has to be kind of learned from the Vyakhyana. So as I said in one of my earlier comments, that there is this kind of a struggle between whether to have more Lakshanas or more Vyakhyana. And the Chandra people favor more Vyakhyana. Basically, the Vyakhyana comes from the tradition itself. So less sutras, and the rest of the things either explained with the help of udaharanas. So they say that their udaharanas are also in a way explain which usages are possible and which usages are not. So udaharanas are also kind of used as one of the devices to kind of take care of those gaps. Because, for example, Avadai Panchami only one sutra, but then when he gives examples of all the Paninian sutras which are there. So, I mean, from the udaharanas, you can also clearly see what usages are possible. And then the further explanation of these udaharanas come in the Panjika text, that level. So there you get the full-fledged Vyakhyana on this. So in this way, I mean, they try to kind of make the system complete.
Okay.
Yeah. If I also can add something, of course, when we read now Vispashta in the Pratijna, of course, for the uninitiated people, it's totally a Spashta. I don't think that they were arguing to say that they make now the Paninian grammar crystal clear to everyone, but they're just removing all the sandehas as far as possible. But of course, it's specialized literature, so it is not to be taken in a way literally, and I think they had also in mind that it is a more practical grammar. We're not going into prapanchas for things which are not in common use or not coming in, not really used in the language, and so avoiding some theoretical deliberations which make the thing a spashta because it is too confusing. So in these terms, they're a bit more practical, so more vyavaharic, so to say.
Okay. Good. Okay, so we had a lot of shastrartha on the phrasing of the sutras in both the systems. So how much time is left for us now? Oh, it's already 6:20.
Yeah, it's almost 6:30. So I think with this Shastra, we can stop here and let the people, let the other audience, I mean, the listeners think about this. Yes, but I really hope, I mean, we really need, I mean, scholars, young scholars especially, to come out of their shackles and really read these things in comparison, in a comparative light, and actually to look at it as a debate. I mean, as a Shastrartha going on between the two traditions. I mean, there's lots of things, such things happen already in case of philosophy. Logic, epistemology, Buddhist versus Nyaya, Buddhist. I mean, this has been studied a lot, but unfortunately, grammar is not studied in that way. So I hope that some young scholars will really take inspiration from this, and there is lots of work to be done in the Chandra tradition. I mean, in terms of editions, and the edition will be the first step, of course, and after that, there will be these other discussions where you can really engage in the dialogue between the Panini and the Chandra system. So this should happen, and not just Panini and Chandra, but I think the other traditions also, the Jainendra or the Katantra, because in their commentaries we have lots of things, lots of material, which is not really studied. So I mean, for the students of Sanskrit and grammar, there is lots of scope actually in this direction. Instead of just working on the same Paninian Sutra, doing the same argument and the Shastrarthas, they should really go out and really study these texts, in comparison. That would be wonderful to understand our rich tradition, rich heritage, and really understand this dialogue, the Shastrartha, happening in different traditions. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mahesh, if I also may add in the same spirit, of course, we do need a lot of work in the field of Chandra grammar, and unfortunately, we still don't have full access to materials which are kept in Tibet, which have meanwhile been digitized as far as I'm aware. But perhaps if someday our Chinese and Tibetan friends do give us access, then things will get better. What is also interesting is that, of course, the Paninian grammar is the basis. Also, for the Chandra people, Ratna in particular first studied the Paninian tradition, and it's a very healthy discussion. I mean, there is no controversy or some conflict. It's a very, in a way, a very friendly, highly intelligent discussion. And I think the Chandra people would, of course, claim that what they have provided is a better development and more justified approach. But it's all the time, and we see this in the commentary by Ratna. It is indeed a very highly intelligent discussion of the Paninian views and providing something which in their view was perhaps even better. But we need to study both systems in detail. So we should not ignore by Panini, of course, is the very basis for everything.
Yes, of course. That's the thing. So, I mean, but this is something which we should be really looking forward now. I mean, we should be doing actually, and to bring this dialogue into light. It is very important.
And then perhaps, Mahesh, we should also add, we should not ignore the Pali tradition, because, I mean, the Moggallana Vyakarana, which is, of course, closely related to the Panjika and to the Chandra system.
Yes.
So we should look in all directions, and we should not encapsulate ourselves only in Panini or only in Chandra or only in Moggallana. Things belong together.
Yeah, for example, there is a very interesting thing, because now when we are working on these editions of the Chandra Panjika, we are also studying side by side Moggallana Panjika, which is basically a Pali commentary on the Moggallana's Pali grammar. But he takes lots of material. In fact, word to word, he translates few things in Pali. So basically, because the Moggallana tradition of Pali grammar is basically based on the Chandra tradition, so he uses lots of that material. And it really helps us in editing the text of Chandra Panjika, and both ways actually. We are also editing side by side Chandra Panjika and Moggallana Panjika, studying them side by side. One more also interesting thing is that even in the Paninian tradition, texts like Nyasa are also not properly edited. I mean, when we now study Panjika and the Nyasa side by side, we also find several places where actually the Nyasa text which we have right now is problematic, or it has some readings are not so good, and we really get some good readings in the Chandra Panjika when he's quoting Nyasa, because I mean he comes from the 10th century, so he's a very early witness in a way for the Nyasa. So one can also think of editing things, commentaries like Nyasa again in the light of this, commentaries like Chandra Panjika. That would be also very fruitful exercise. Unfortunately, in the Paninian tradition too, these other commentaries are not really studied. I mean, in such a depth. So that should also happen. I mean, it is necessary. People are really focusing only on Kaumudi and Balvanarama, and that's all, the Nagesha. But this early tradition, like the Purushottama Deva's commentaries and so on. So this also should be studied with more depth, where we can really see what is happening in those centuries, like 7th, 8th, 9th. It was a very vibrant period, it seems, at least for the grammatical studies, because in the Katantra, we have the same time, we have the Durga Tika, Durga Vritti and Tika, and then here in the Chandra tradition, we have these two commentaries and Panjikas also around the same period. So it's a very fruitful period, and one can really understand each of these traditions better if we study them. Study it in the light of other traditions. Sorry, we have spoken a lot. That's something which we really wish should happen, and young scholars should really come forward to do this. So with this, maybe we can conclude today's reading session. And we are very thankful to Professor Bhate for her very lucid and very vispashta and also sampurna explanation. So I thank her on behalf of all of us, and let's us meet again on Saturday at 4:30. Yes. So thank you very much, Madam. Thanks a lot. And thanks to all the participants. Yes.
Thank you all, and bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye.
Bye.